Ladies and gentlemen, today started out like any other Tuesday. I woke up, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face. Just kidding, I played like 7 games of bullet chess on my phone before I did any of that. But then I finished all of that, had a little breakfast, walked the dog, came to sit down right here. And then I found a chess game. And this chess game got me so disturbed that I knew there was only one thing to do. And it was to set my computer on fire and pretend like I had never seen it. Once I finished doing that, I went out, bought this computer, and now I'm here making a video for all of you, and I will be sharing this chess game. This chess game was sent in to me by a subscriber from Poland named Wojtek. And Wojtek played a chess game today. That's what he did. And before we jump into this chess game, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Incogni. Folks, it's 2024. Every single day, the world gets more digital than ever before, which is great for playing chess against your friend who's 10,000 miles away, but it's not so great for protecting your personal information on the internet. I'm not sure if you know this, but every single year, millions of people have their personal information compromised somewhere on the web. This can either happen in hacks and data breaches of major companies, or can literally be just data sold to data brokers. You see, data is valuable, and companies love money. But you can protect yourself using Incogni, and it works in 3 simple steps. First, you just sign up on the Incogni website. Second, you grant them permission to fight on your behalf. Third, you just sit back, relax, and watch them do the fighting against the data brokers to scrub your information off the internet from places you don't want it. Incogni works around the clock to protect your data from anywhere that it shouldn't be, or anywhere that you didn't approve it to be. Maybe one day in the future, governments will have stricter policies to control user data, but until that happens, services like Incogni are really good for protecting our information online. You can use the code Gotham and get a 60% discount on an annual plan at incogni.com/Gotham. Yes, I changed shirts. Now let's get back to the video. Thank you, as always, to sponsored Gotham. My friends, our protagonists are Wojtek, who was brave enough not just to participate in this game of chess, but also then to send it in to me. Wojtek is from Poland. And Wojtek's opponent is from Italy and is named Galileo. Not actually, but that person's real name was there, and so I needed to put a different name. And Galileo, as we know, was a brilliant mind. You know, White was brilliant in their own way. So the game begins with knight to f3, but very quickly becomes a queen's pawn. We do what's called a transposition. White could have started the game with d4. There was really no benefit starting the game with knight f3. It does prevent e5, but you can still go England gambit here. So knight f3, d5, and we have the following 2 moves. Very solid queen's pawn type of stuff. And in this position, by far the 2 most popular moves are the London system and the queen's gambit. The 3rd most popular move is probably g3 or e3, and White does in fact choose to play this move e3. A very solid system. This is known as the Kali system. The bishop will go to d3, b3, bishop b2, and the Kali system is actually named after the famous Belgian chess player, I think Edgar Kali. He played this opening in, you know, the 19th century. Maybe even 18th century, but I think it's 19th century. It's just incredible. You could make 3 moves back in the day and just be like, that's my opening now. Nowadays, you have to like lose your queen in 3 moves and say that's your opening. So Wojtek plays knight c6, which is a move that I don't hate, but I have a problem with it. And the problem that I have with it is the d and c pawns go together. And it's okay to play a move like c5 because even if White captures, Black will win this pawn back. It's very difficult for White to actually hang on to it with moves like b4 because Black will undermine with a5 and b6. So in general, what I tell people is D and C pawns really should be standing out there together, and you don't really want to block your pawn like that. It's fine. If you're 794, it's fine. I'm just happy you're developing your pieces. And then we need to develop our light squared bishop, and then we need to develop our dark squared bishop, and then Gotham will be happy and he will leave you alone. White plays bishop d3, excellent. Now Black plays b6. Again, don't hate it, but kind of wish you would focus more on the center. I guess Black's idea is to play bishop to b7. which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you blocked your bishop, but whatever, you know, you're getting your bishop out. I don't hate it. And so black gets their bishop out, or not. Black doesn't for some reason. You know, black again went here. I thought that's why you did that. But fine, okay, e6. You can't decide which bishop. You got two bishops. You can't decide. Fine. Now white plays a3. Very professional. You know, I would love to see white castling. That's sort of the whole point of the opening, or getting a knight out, or you know, D and C pawns go together. Instead, white clearly has a strategy, and this is a very common thing that newbies do. They play h3, a3. They just play these moves to prevent knights and bishops from coming there. You can do that. There's a very famous story of a chess grandmaster who had a book, and I think it was called Perfect Your Chess by Andrei Velikitin, who wrote in the book, I could be completely making this up, but he wrote that his coach would fine him, like take money from a child on top of getting paid hourly for the lesson if his student ever made these moves unnecessarily. So in this position, Galileo owes me 10 euro. That's basically what because there is no need to play. You could argue this move is necessary to prevent that. Just don't get the bishop, you know, whatever. Anyway, bishop d6. Now again, white developed the knight and the bishop. Now it's time to castle the king, or it's time to finish up development. It's not time to go bishop b5. That's not... Also, how has white made 7 moves in 10 seconds? Why are we booting up 10-minute games to make 7 moves in 10 seconds? Like, why are we trying to finish so fast? There are very few things in life where finishing fast is a good thing. A prostate exam might be one of the better things. Just get it, you know, done, boom. Hospital visit, sooner the better. Hopefully you got good care and they didn't just, you know, throw you out of there, charge you $9,000 like in the States. So you don't need to play this fast. You should, you know, but okay, fine, bishop b5. You know, I get it. The knight is not guarded, and black plays bishop d7. You see, and look at black. Wojtek, principled man, spending 20 seconds on bishop d7. Also not necessary, by the way. It was much easier to play that move in like 2 seconds, but fine. Now, rule that I always tell beginning players: if you cannot explain why you are trading a bishop for a knight, like if you can't say, well, I'm creating a weakness, or I'm damaging the structure, don't do it. Just don't do it. There's no need to. I mean, you moved a bishop 3 times. Now it's gone. So 3 of your 8 moves, which is 37.5%, you don't even have the bishop anymore. You're just worse now. Now you should castle. Now it's high time. No, still no castling. Okay. And knight in front of the c-pawn, violating some of the stuff I like. Now black should probably castle. I don't hate black's move. Black plays knight e4. Don't hate that move. But again, it's just better rule of thumb to castle. The idea is just we're trying to trade some pieces. And if knight takes, then pawn takes, and the knight is under attack. Now, again, white should see this move, evaluate, do I want to take or do I want to be taken? Should I castle? What should I do? I would still castle. Instead, white plays knight c3, knight c3 takes e4 in 2 seconds. Because white's just got a game plan. Every move in 2 seconds. Like, I'm late for a bus. I don't know why I started the game that could theoretically take 20 minutes. I gotta play as fast as possible. Okay, take. Knight goes back to d2, and I love it. Black castles. We can already start to see the makings of some problems for white. White's knight has been pushed backwards. White traded their light squared bishop while having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns on dark squares and a dark squared bishop, which is now walled in. Black has the bishop pair, and they will stare at this position, especially if this pawn disappears. But still, the best move for white is to castle or go trade the knight for the bishop. Just get rid of black's bishop pair. White here plays a move that is dreadful, and it is a move that is played, again, you haven't castled, and you're playing where your opponent is stronger. White plays f3. Once again, in 2 seconds. White is now losing. White is losing because when you make a move like f3, you got to think about something. You got to think about, I'm moving a pawn to a light square. I have another pawn on a light square right here. Are my dark squares weak? And my king, my king is in the center. And this is the first thing you got to look at. I got news for you. Both of those moves are really, really bad news for white. Both. You're not lost yet, but you're really close. Now, black takes on f3. Wojtek is a very principled man and says, you know what? I will happily open up my bishop. Also, a way you never, ever play a move like f3 is, my opponent has the bishops. Who prefers an open position? Who? The guy with the bishops or the guy with one bishop? The guy with the bishops. This guy would love that. So you never do this. Why would you? Like now black's bishop got stronger, right? So you're learning a lot. We are teasing low elo chess, but we're learning that like we're not supposed to do that, okay? We're not. Knight takes f3. Now is black's final moment. You got to sneak this move in. It's not all checks are the same, but that check is definitely really good because white has to move the king. And if you have to move the king, king's just stranded in the center and will never get the rook out. So black is a lot better in this position. But instead of that, black plays rook e8. All the advantage is gone. And now the best move for white is to play castles kingside for like the 8th time possible now. And now white is only slightly worse. And slightly worse at 780 means basically nothing. But that doesn't happen. And in this position, Galileo once again spends 2 seconds and plays c3. I mean, Galileo has an unprecedented pace that they play chess. Like, so fast. It is really admirable. Now, again, the best move is bishop g3. But the second best move, which this move actually prepared in conjunction with the placement of the bishop, this is an excellent move. Anytime your opponent has a king on the opposite side like this, you gotta open up the position. e5 is a great move because black's position is more equipped to open up. White has 5 out of 7 pawns on dark squares and 5 out of 6 pieces on the home rank. So you gotta open up the position. And now, from bad to worse, Galileo spends 1 second on this move. I wonder if we're gonna have a single move in this game where Galileo spends longer than 2 seconds. I mean, like, we could probably go back and look, but, you know, 2, that was 0, 2, 2, 1, 3. Yeah, that's actually kind of nuts. Like, yeah, e5. Knight takes e5, and now that knight move used to protect h4. So now black is completely winning. Because after this, what's going to happen is you're going to play bishop takes, pawn takes, and you're going to walk directly into a skewer. And yeah, it's really, really bad. However, Wojtek misses that. Wojtek first takes the knight, which I can't really blame Wojtek. Like, it was there. I got it. White takes back without even thinking. And now you never, ever, ever in a million years trade the queens here. Ever. Unless it, like, wins you a rook. You got to keep your queen on the board because your opponent is stuck on the back rank. And if you just find this move by accident, you're going to win the game. Why? Because your opponent's going to play a move like king f1. You're going to play rook e5. And then you're going to bring your other rook and rook f5 check. And white just can't, they just can't defend themselves because they haven't played well. Queen e1 trying to trade the queens, you give a check. If king e2, you can give another check. Like, you're going to mate somebody by accident. You're going to just give checks, and then all of a sudden, it's going to be checkmate. Like, white's just going to run out of moves. So you have to play queen h4 check. You don't want to trade queens if the alternative is a big attack. The attacking side does not want to trade queens, so Wojtek trades queens. White takes back, and now a lot of the pressure has been relieved in the position. And I don't think Galileo is going to get checkmated anytime soon, but Wojtek is still going to pick up some material. Wojtek has a lot more activity, grabs the pawn on e5, king e2, again, 1 second. 1 second spent. This whole game is a learning experience, and Wojtek takes another pawn, right? He just got 2 pawns back like that. There was no need for that. Now, white in this position has a rook under attack and a pawn, all right? Rook h2 defends the pawn and attacks the bishop. Rook g1 only attacks the bishop and stops guarding the pawn. So naturally, Galileo plays the worst move in 2 seconds and loses a 3rd pawn in a row. 1, 2, 3. So from down a pawn, Galileo is now, from down a pawn, Wojtek is now up 2 pawns. And the way you win this with black is you get the rook in here. Now, the real way you win this with black is you be a little bit patient with your trades, but you know that if you trade everything, you just win because you have 6 on 4 pawns. That's winning. And you just try to get these pawns going. You try to get those pawns going while protecting your king and disallowing, you know, any sneaky nonsense and attacks on your king. So let's see. Bishop d2. All right, bring the rook. Great. I would play h5 to get the pawn rolling and also to make sure the king can't get mated. King d3. Don't hate bishop f5 check. And now, yeah, so Galileo finally on move 20 settles down and spends 4 seconds on a move. 20 moves in 31 seconds. Don't know why on earth this person plays 10 minute. They're better off playing Blitz or Bullet. Rook e8, bishop f5 check, and Galileo decides, why don't I lead the charge with my king? And now the game is completely lost. So you have walked the king basically into a mating net. Rook c5 completely prevents white from moving, and rook d8 is mate. So at this point, white would need to begin chucking pieces, blundering, and all this, and losing pieces along there. So king d4. Wojciech thinks for a little bit, plays f6. At least the rook is now protected. He's trying to play rook d8 check, defend this, and also make sure there's no back rank mate. Galileo plays king c4. And now, officially, for the first time in the entire game, we have mate on the board. I don't know why we decided to go on this spiritual journey with our king. To prevent the king from escaping, black has the absolutely ruthless bishop c2. And this is a tactical motif known as weaving a mating net, playing a quiet move that prevents the opponent's king from escaping and sort of sealing it into the position. It's a very instructive move, because a lot of you would play bishop e6 check, rook e5, bishop f5, and then you don't have a check anymore. A lot of you would go check, check, check. You're still winning, but it's not a mate. The best move is bishop c2, at which point there's threats like a5, b5, rook e4, etc. However, Wojciech is human, plays bishop e6. And now Galileo has the option to run backwards to safety or walk the tightrope to b4, which he plays in one move. Now it's m4. Now the evaluation is a type of BMW, okay? When the evaluation of a chess game is a BMW, it's bad. It's very, very, very bad, all right? m4 is not good. And a5 check is just game over. You give a pawn check, you actually can give another pawn check, and this is check, and then this is actually mate. So you just get straight up brutally mated in the center of the board, and that'll teach you to have every single one of your pieces on a dark square while the opponent has a light squared bishop. Nobody's paying attention to the light squares. But that does not happen. Instead of that, I apologize. Instead of playing a5 check, Wojciech plays this, which is still winning, especially considering Galileo runs the king forward again. Again. Now the black king, the white king is completely sealed, but he runs all the way to a6, and the king wants to sneak in back here. And my man Wojciech has to find rook e7. That would prevent the king's infiltration, and it would simultaneously threaten rook a4 and bishop c8. And you can't stop both. There's just nothing you can do. Both of those are mates. You can bribe your opponent. You could hope they disconnect or they get on a plane. But unfortunately, instead of rook to e7, Wojciech continues chasing, and Galileo sneaks into b7, and now black is still completely winning. But now you know it's not the end of the story. Wojciech plays c5. So black is up 3 pawns. All right, black is up 3 pawns. These pawns should start moving. I would start trading rooks. White plays b4, never letting up. The most amount of time that Galileo has spent thinking in this game is a whopping 4 seconds. That takes skill, all right? Bishop d5 check, it's almost mate. Only one legal move, but the king will survive. The king is walking along the 7th rank, going on a journey. It's gone all the way around like that, and we've survived. Now, rook e6, building a box. King d7. 5 seconds, the longest amount of time. It came on the 31st move. Black plays king f7, right? Everything is defending. Rook g3. How long? 11 seconds. 11 seconds from Galileo. Rook g3 with the idea of maybe doubling up. That might be the idea. Bishop c6. The king is still on the back rank. Wojciech in dire straits. He cannot find a checkmate. He doesn't quite understand that he's not supposed to deliver a checkmate anymore. So he continues to try to bring his king. But now, he made his one mistake. It took 33 moves for black to really play a true, genuine blunder, not just like a missed opportunity. He loses the pawn on g7. Galileo clutches it out and gets in with the rook. 6 seconds spent, And now it's really game on because black is only up 2 pawns and they are split and he never got them going. So he plays bishop to e4, defending his pawn. Galileo, instead of maintaining the control of the position or bringing the rook or bringing the bishop, he continues to battle with just one piece. The black king goes to f7, the rook goes to d8 for some reason. Rook e7 check, king to d6, rook e6 check, king c7, and Wojtek has a very big decision to make. He begins repeating moves. He says, you know what? I don't have a lot of time. I gotta cut my losses. Now Galileo says, no draw. I don't want to draw. I don't care if I'm losing. Rook takes d7, king takes d7, and now h5. That is a very clutch find by Wojtek. The bishop snipes the corner, so it's just a matter of time. If the pawn gets to h2, it's GG. There are 3 moves to go. Will white stop him in time? Of course not. 1 second spent on king d6, which is a move that literally makes negative sense. Negative sense. The king cannot even get out of the position. Now black plays h4. Black is now 2 squares away from the magic square. You get to h2, you're getting to h1. You're going to promote, you're going to win the game. B takes c5, desperate times, desperate measures. Takes back. The king breaks out of his position. All of a sudden, Wojtek realizes, wait a minute, I can't push my pawn. Because if I push my pawn, is my rook trapped? Oh my goodness. So, after king c5, he plays rook a6. He escapes with the rook. Now, white needs to bring the king back, get to the bishop, or bishop e1 to stop the pawn. Instead of that, he plays bishop b4, which puts the bishop in a place where its head is in the king's butt and its butt is in the pawn's head. It can't even do, it is completely squished. I don't know why on earth you would play bishop to b4. But now Wojtek has to play h3, and that's it. It's a clear runway. h3, he'll protect his bishop, he will play h2, he's winning. Instead, he gives a check. He panics and he gives a check. King to d4, but he defends the bishop. And now that's it. He's right there. Rook to g1, pawn to h3. Wojtek is clutching it. Nobody can stop the pawn now. Rook g5. All he has to do is play h2 and h1. The bishop is protected by the pawn, and that's it. It's perfect. He made the comeback. He did everything he was supposed to do. But suddenly the brain short circuits and he plays... Rook g6 would have been better. Rook h6. Why would we go rook f6? Why are we sandwiching our rook between 2 pieces? For what? Now, all of a sudden, white can make it to h5, and maybe that was what Wojtek was worried about. But Wojtek, it's, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Everything. He just played h3. Why he didn't play h2, I will never know. Nobody will never know. But all of a sudden, Galileo the genius, rook h5 has stopped the pawn. Great move by Wojtek to protect himself. He's not giving up yet. King g7. And now he's trying to play rook h6. Bishop c3. Rook h6. Well-timed. King c5 check. King c5 check. Look at that. Discovered attack from the bishop, but the king's protecting. Take. And the bishop comes to stop the pawn. Oh my goodness. Now, black is still winning. Black is still winning if he brings his king. He begins bringing his king. He is bringing his king. He just needs to get out with the bishop and then come here. White is too slow. If white goes over here, you play bishop f1 check, you play king f3, king g2, and you're winning. So king g4. Galileo plays a4, still making every move in 2 seconds. Bishop to f1. Can Wojtek do it? We have a5. King f3. King c6. Now he just needs to go here, but okay, first he perfect. The perfect setup. Wojtek is completely winning now. King b6. Wojtek walked his king from f7 all the way to f3 just to go backwards. King g2 ended the it was over because black has the perfect defensive setup. The bishop protects everybody. Instead, Wojtek goes backwards. But guess what? His position is so good. He goes straight back to the g2 square. He realizes, what am I doing? I'm going to end up in a Gotham video. He plays the king to g2, king to e5, and now he has to put one last finishing touch. Because he wasted time, wasted time, White's king was able to get back in time, right? White's king was able to get back. So now he has to play bishop here, protect the pawn, promote. He doesn't. Now White takes and gets the f5 pawn, and now it's a draw. It's a draw because White has a pawn, and the bishop will stop the pawn. But at the cost of the bishop, the black king will run back, we will trade pawns, and the game will end in a draw. It was a crazy battle. King to g3, e4, king e5. What? He lost the pawn! He lost the... Now Wojtek has a chance to win, but he... What? Bishop takes! Wojtek is low on time. Oh my goodness. It's a draw because if you take, the pawn is the wrong color corner, which is high level stuff. Instead of that, okay, all right, fine. All right, king... Wojtek's got to run his... Oh my goodness. Wojtek, anyway. All of these heart attacks aside, he finally sacrifices the bishop, and this game is a draw. Even though White is going to get over here, Black will just go the other way. The king will take the pawn. Black will get to c6. There we go. King c4, king c6. And Wojtek plays king b4. And out of a panic, because he didn't have a lot of time, ran his king to the a4 square. And now there's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing that he can't. And he loses the game. And Galileo won. And what he should have done is gone that way. So that after king b6, king d5, king a6, he gets here, and White cannot escape. White cannot get out of the way of his own pawn, and it's a draw. And unfortunately, Wojtek lost this game.